also the first University of Technology and the most beautiful campus in Nigeria.
The Federal University of Technology, Akure, greatest Rotarians. While welcoming you on behalf of Madam Vice Chancellor, we equally want to celebrate our home or the presentation of the 172 Inaugural Lecture of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, titled The Ovum and the Sperm, a context of mutually inclusive nudity for mutual benefit, to be presented today by Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro, Professor of Animal Physiology, Production and Biotechnology. We have, under the chairmanship of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Temidayo Oladiji, Fellow Academic of Science, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Taiwo Timothy Amos. You are welcome, sir. To be supported by other principal officers, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Development, Professor Sunday Samuel Oluyamon. You are welcome, sir. The Registrar and the Secretary to the Council, Mr. Charles Olusegun Adeleye. You are welcome, sir. And the Chancellor of our Exchequer, the Acting Bursar of our dear university, Mr. Kende Oladeji. You are equally welcome to this program, sir. The University Bursar, Dr. Robert Akiade Awoyemi. You are equally welcome. Also, the Inaugural Lecturer, Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro. You are welcome, sir. By this side of the divide, we have deans of our various schools of study, the Chair Committee of Deans and the Dean School of Environmental Technology, Professor Isaac Olaniyi Aje. You are welcome, sir. Next is the Dean School of Health and Mineral Sciences, Professor Y.B. Anifowoshe, ably represented by Professor Vincent Ajayi. You are welcome, sir. The Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Akim Olalekan Lawal. You are welcome, sir. And the Dean School of Agric and Agricultural Technology, Professor Oluwatoyin Faramade Oludansi. You are welcome, ma'am. By this side of the divide, we have the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Bello Oluayo. You are welcome, sir. The Dean of School of Computing and Member of Council, Professor Boniface Kayode Aleshe. You are equally welcome, sir. The Dean School of Life Sciences, Professor Michael Olufemi Ashamo. You are welcome, sir. And the Dean of School of Logistics and Innovation Technology, Professor Oluyemi Simon Oke. You are welcome, sir. And the Dean Student Affairs, Professor Olanrewaju David Oke. You are welcome to this program, sir. To this end, I would like to bring to the podium the Vice Chancellor for the welcome address. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor. You are welcome, sir.
Introductory remarks by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Oladiji, FAS, at the 172nd Inaugural Lecture delivered by Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro on Tuesday, 10th September 2024 in the Obafemi Awolowo Auditorium. The Deputy Vice Chancellor Development, Registrar, and other principal officers, my lords, spiritual and temporal, top government functionaries here present, the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro, deans, directors and heads of department, distinguished members of Senate and congregation, eminent scholars and friends of the university, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, great Rotarians. I welcome you with great pleasure to the 72nd Inaugural Lecture of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, FUTA. I warmly welcome our spiritual and traditional leaders, top government functionaries, captains of industry, friends of the university, and the entire staff and students of the university. I am delighted to welcome the immediate and extended family members, friends, and well-wishers of the inaugural lecturer. I felicitate Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro on this academic milestone. May I, at this juncture, request the inaugural lecturer to please rise while I present his citation. Samuel Olanrewaju Aro was born on 9th September 1964 in Idoani, Osai local government area of Ondo State. After his elementary education, he proceeded to Iriakari Grammar School, Idoani, for his post-primary education. Thereafter, he proceeded to the University of Ibadan, where he obtained Bachelor of Science, First Class Honor in Agriculture, and Master of Science, MSc degrees in Agricultural Biochemistry and Nutrition in 1988 and 1990, respectively, for his PhD degree. Samuel Olanrewaju Aro joined the services of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, as an agreed assistant lecturer in 2004 and rose through the rank to the position of professor in the year 2020. Professor Aro has supervised over 40 masters and 9 doctoral research students. He has also served as external examiner to many universities in Nigeria, aside from being involved in assessment of candidates of professorial cadre. Professor Aro has authored and co-authored over 140 research journal articles in reputable peer-reviewed journals, both local and international, conference proceedings, and books. He is a reviewer of academic and professional journals. Professor Aro is a member of many professional bodies, which include the Nigeria Society for Animal Production, NSAP, Animal Science Association of Nigeria, Society for Animal Reproduction and Improvement, Poultry Science Association, and Nigeria Institute of Animal Science. Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro is a recipient of several distinctions, grants, and awards. Notably among them are TED Fund and National Research Fund Grants 2020, World Bank Sponsored Grant, Center of Excellence in Food Security for FUTA 2010, TED Fund and IBR Grants 2014, World Bank Sponsored Science and Technology Education Post-Basic Step B, Innovators of Tomorrow's IoT Awards 2010, and the Federal University of Technology Akure grant in 2007. Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro had over 20 years experience both in lecturing and management positions in the university system. He has served the university in many capacities, some of which are member, Postgraduate Admission Committee of Academic Board of Postgraduate School, FUTA, 2013 to date. Member, Curriculum Management and Development Committee, Academic Board of Postgraduate School, FUTA, 2023 to date. Chairman, Departmental Curriculum Development Committee, 2022 to date. Member, Search Task Force on the Replication of Songhai Farms in FUTA, 2014 to 2016, and Chairman, SAT, that is School of Agri and Agricultural Technology Examination Conduct Committee, 2012 to 2015. Some of Professor Aro's many activities outside the university include Pastor, Christ Apostolic Church, Glory of God, Isomo Olowoyo Assembly, Akure, 2018 to date. Chairman, Finance Committee of Christ Apostolic Church, Glory of God, Isomo Olowoyo Assembly, Akure, 2011 to to 2023. Resource person to World Council of Churches in the Gambia on the establishment of pilot livestock units at Songhai Center for Research and Experimentation, Port Novo, Republic of Benin, 1999 to 2020. Resource person to Chad Republic Group of in-service trainees at Songhai Center for Research and Experimentation, Port Novo, Republic of Benin, 1999 to 2020. Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro is married to Mrs. Alice Asabi Aro, and the union is blessed with children. The whole essence of the passionate contest between the sperm cell and the ovum is to ensure the continued existence of life from generation to generation. To achieve this, appropriate mating systems that will enhance the inclusive fitness of both the male and female parents that will promote the survival of their offspring to the reproductive age must be sought. The lecture of today will provide an insight into the efforts to revolutionize the crawling Nigerian livestock subsector in order to sustainably cater for the ever-increasing mouths to feed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Samuel Olanrewaju Aro as he presents the 172nd Inaugural Lecture of the University, titled The Ovum and the Sperm, a contest of mutually inclusive nudity for mutual benefits. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Development, the Registrar, other principal officers of the University, Deans, Directors, Heads of Departments, units, distinguished members of Senate, other academic and professional colleagues, my Lord spiritual and temporal, distinguished guests and friends of the University, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, great Futurians, the Vice Chancellor. I will start this inaugural lecture first and foremost by giving all honor, adoration, and praise to the Almighty God, the Maker and the Owner of the entire universe and all that contained therein. I thank Him for calling for this day, which He has ordained to be, and for bringing us together with unfathomable gladness to rejoice in it. Really, it is the day which the Lord has made. I therefore stand before you this day, Tuesday, 10th September 2024, to present the 172nd Inaugural Lecture Series of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, the 56th in the School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology, the 15th in the Department of Animal Production and Health, and the second in the field of animal physiology, reproduction, and biotechnology. I am equally thankful to the management team of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria, for grooming me up to this position in my career and for bestowing on me this unique opportunity to deliver this inaugural lecture titled The Ovum and the Sperm, a contest of mutually inclusive nudity for mutual benefits. The title of this lecture is meant to showcase the peculiar virtues of two morphologically and physiologically distinct reproductive units that have been specially conserved in all life forms since creation. The ovum, which is the female reproductive unit, and the sperm, which is the male reproductive unit. The beauty of procreation, as far as the male and female sexes are concerned, is to bring together these two reproductive units through fertilization and singing. Thus produces a cell called zygote, which will eventually undergo a series of growth and developmental processes to a new individual capable of the continued existence of the contextual species. The coming together of these units in the process of sexual reproduction is a ritualized and stereotyped contest in all sexually reproducing species in the kingdom Animalia. The two contestants are the ovum and sperm cells, which are engaged in a mutually inclusive contest of nudity for reciprocal or mutual benefits. Typically, any contest will draw the battle line between two or more contestants, whose preparedness is to be put to test after assessing the type of arsenals at each other's disposal. This preparedness and mutual assessment is likened to what Jesus Christ said in St. Luke Gospel, chapter 14, verse 31, that reads, "Or what king going to make war against another king does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes with 20,000. The eventual joy of this contest, however, is that it furnishes reciprocal benefits to both parties, as it ensures the continued existence of the contestants by way of the sustenance of their germplasm in the population gene pool. My foray into the field of animal physiology, reproduction, and biotechnology. The Vice Chancellor now, I look back with nostalgia about how I grew up in the agrarian community of my nativity, the Duane, Ondo State, Nigeria. My father of blessed memory was a successful cocoa farmer, while my mother was a popular provision and foodstuff seller in our locality, aside from holding sizable numbers of livestock like sheep, goats, and local chickens. I grew up knowing and tending this stock with a memory of my father savoring the special taste of the testicles of the billy goat he annually slaughtered for Christmas and New Year celebrations. Though I was learning the ropes as a livestock husbandman, my keen interest was in the aviation industry, as I was nursing the ambition of becoming a pilot. The turning point and the switch of ambition to livestock agriculture came in 1981 when I was in Form 4. On that fateful day, I watched helplessly as one of my mother's pregnant goats died of dystocia, or difficult parturition in a layman's language. My mother was visibly disturbed and agitated, as such has never hitherto happened among her flocks, while I was annoyed with myself for my inability to turn the table and avert the disaster. In my desperation, I ran to the vet office about a kilometer away, but alas, they too have closed for the day. The palpable sorrow reflected from my mother made me to decide there and then to subscribe to the course of study with a bias in reproductive physiology of farm animals in the foreseeable future. This golden opportunity came in November 1953 when I was admitted to the prestigious University of Ibadan to pursue a Bachelor of Science degree course in Animal Science, which I successfully completed in 1988, followed in quick succession by a Master of Science degree in 1990. Thereafter, I was in private practice as a livestock consultant, supervisor, manager, and instructor in many organizations within and outside the country for 14 years, until an advert came in one of the Nigerian dailies in 2004 for a vacant farm manager's position in the Federal University of Technology, Akure, for which I promptly applied. My performance at the interview prompted the then Dean of SAT, Professor J. Fuwakwe, to advise me to jettison the idea of coming in as a farm manager for the position of an academic staff, which I embraced wholeheartedly. I was thus shortlisted among other 10 academic staff applicants, and pronto, I was employed as an assistant lecturer in 2004, from where I rose through the ranks to a professor that qualifies me to stand before you today to deliver this inaugural lecture. Definition of terms in the lecture title. The Vice Chancellor, now. The title of my inaugural lecture seems to contain words that are intricately woven and intertwined, such that the clarity and sonority, if conscious efforts are not brought to bear on their lucidity. This I will attempt to do through subheadings below. 1. The ovum. The ovum is the reproductive unit of the female sex in all animals and humans. The ovum is formed in the reproductive organ of the female called the ovary, which can be likened to a factory that turns out mature eggs in the reproductive chain or line from time to time. Its production in situ in the female is brought about by a process called oogenesis, which is further divided into 4 developmental stages, namely oogonium, primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, and ovum. It is noteworthy that the ovum, as the female reproductive unit, is a haploid cell formed from diploid precursors. Figure 1. As the ovum is being formed, it is simultaneously undergoing another reproductive process called folliculogenesis, a process that describes the transformation of the primordial follicles to primary follicles, to secondary follicles, to tertiary follicles, to pre-ovulatory or gravial follicles that eventually culminates in ovulation, that is, the release of the non-matured ovum from the ovary into the oviduct. Figure 2. The sperm. The sperm is the male's reproductive unit or seed produced inside the male's primary organ of reproduction called the testis. The complex reproductive process that leads to the production of sperm in the male is technically referred to as spermatocytogenesis, which is broadly split into spermatocytogenesis and spermiogenesis. Spermatocytogenesis progresses from spermatogonium to primary spermatocyte to secondary spermatocyte spermatid. Figure 3. The progression of spermatids through the Golgi phase, cap phase, tail phase, maturation phase is called spermiogenesis, during which the sperm cell assumes a more streamlined and compact shape and a full complement of a spermatozoon characterized by a head, a midpiece, a tail before being released into the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. Figure 4. Now the context. The Vice Chancellor, the contest between the sperm and the ovum is the battle of supremacy between the duo as they attempt to outsmart each other in the reproductive processes that lead to fertilization and syngamy, which culminates in the formation of the diploid zygote. In this contest, the ovum is physiologically and morphologically equipped to wear down the efforts of the sperm cell at reaching hard in order to effect fertilization. This is thus by making the sperm cell lose all its physiological weapons at its disposal the moment the sperm cell ventures into the reproductive tract of the male or the female upon ejaculation. There is thus a stage-by-stage trade-off of the sperm cell of its weapons as it squares up against the array of arsenal lined up against it by the ovum. Each stage of the trade-off is tantamount to the sperm cell being derobed or relieved of its garments or weapons of reproduction so as to leave it practically naked or nude at the end of the whole process. Unknown, however, to the ovum, this seemingly unfair treatment being meted out to the sperm cell by the ovum is to lead to the capacitation and actosome reaction of the sperm that will enable it to break into and neutralize the ovum investments or armory in order to effect fertilization. The plain truth and reality of the contest is that the sperm cell is being derobed by the ovum so as to ultimately derobe the ovum in return. This is the way the contest of mutually inclusive nudity for mutual benefit plays out. Now the arsenals at the disposal of the contestants. Each of the two contestants is well equipped with certain biological weapons with which to outsmart each other. The ovum in particular has the following arsenals lined up against the incursion of the sperm cell into her domain. These are the hyaluronodesis, the libertine cervix with countless cul-de-sac, the macrophage-populated uterus, the gated uterotubal junction, and of course, the whole armor of the ovum, namely the cumulus ophorus, corona radiata, zona pellucida, and the vitelline membrane. Figure 5. The sperm cell, on the other hand, is equally prepared and well armed for this all-important and inevitable reproductive contest by way of the following weapons, namely a decapacitation factor on the plasma membrane, certified cell membrane integrity, streamlined body shape for super mobility and speed, compact and fully condensed head with large nucleus loaded with genetic materials, axon cap at the tip of the head, the midpiece highly charged with mitochondria, the principal piece with the axoneme complex, and the end piece containing the flatin and the spermocene filaments. Figure 6. Mutually inclusive nudity. The contest between the ovum and the sperm is a contest of love, with a proclivity to give and take by both parties. Hence, love is said to be mutual or reciprocal. Mutuality means having the same feeling or emotion or doing the same thing for and to each other. For God so loved the world that he gave. Give and take. The coming together of these two microscopic reproductive units for this mutually inclusive trade-off of their sexual prowess for mutual benefits have been founded on love between the two microscopic individuals, the male and the female, to fulfill the mandate of God, be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 1:28. Two events are mutually inclusive if they can occur exactly at the same time with common outcomes. Thus, the contest between the ovum and the sperm is described as being mutually inclusive because both can occur together simultaneously or at the same time. For instance, mating is a mutually inclusive event between the male and the female. It takes two to tango. Also, the event that results in the sperm capacitation, active reaction, penetration of the usual investment by the sperm cell are all mutually inclusive events taking place simultaneously between the ovum and the sperm. The mutually inclusive nudity thus facilitates surrendering all to one another in love, mutual give and take, to drive home the statement that says, they were both naked but not ashamed. Genesis 2:25. The mutual or reciprocal benefits. The creation of both male and female sexes by God is not accidental. The Most High God knows the joint benefits that will accrue when both are brought together through the process of sexual reproduction. That is the more reason why God has made sexual reproduction the most successful of the two forms of reproduction, sexual and asexual. It is psychologically and physiologically distinct unit, the ovum and the sperm, able to come together in a mutually inclusive, amorous context to combine genetic resources for the continuity of life forms from generation to generation, with an added benefit of ensuring genetic diversity at each juncture of procreation of the different life forms of this beautiful God's creation. The combination of genetic resources by the ovum and the sperm is a unique feature of sexual reproduction called meiosis. Figure 7. Meiosis comprises the first and second divisions called reductional and equational division respectively. Genetic diversity is conferred on sexually mating species during the process of the first meiotic division, divided into 5 stages, namely leptotin, zygotin, pakitin, diplotin, and dikinesis. Figure 8. During these 5 stages, synapses are formed, chiasmata are produced, and DNA segments are exchanged among the homologous chromosomes by the process of crossing over. All these processes confer genetic variability on the product of fertilization, that is the zygote, when the ovum and the sperm are finally brought together through sexual reproduction. Figures 7 and 8. My research activities and contributions to knowledge. The Vice Chancellor, within the 20 unbroken years as an academic infiltrator, I've been able to explore many fields in the science of animal physiology, reproduction, and biotechnology as a distinct body of knowledge. I've been able to make modest contribution to knowledge in the following special areas of biosciences, which I will like to list and showcase under the following subheadings. 1. Behavioral physiology and sociobiology. This lecture illustrates the essential roles played by the field of behavioral physiology and social biology are bringing these two conjugants, that is the ovum and sperm, together through various forms of social interaction and intimacy, like monogamy, polygamy, polyandry, polygyny, lurking, and polygynandry, etc., in a diverse variants of mating systems. My study on monogamous and polyandrous mating system, tables 1 and 2, revealed that monogamy promotes better growth accretion, heavier testicular and vesicular gland of the male, while polyandry influences better weight change in the female and heavier epididymis in the male, which could be used as a marker of sexual promiscuity in male mammalian species, tables 3 and 4. Also, monogamy is relatively stressful, less physically tasking, and more blissful for the females when compared to polyandry, as revealed by Aro and Adijimon 2008, Aro and Adijimon 2010, Aro and Adijimon 2011. No wonder why the only wise God shows monogamy as the divine mating system for humans. Genesis 2, 21 to 24. Social bonds between the offspring and their parents evolve primarily to ensure that the collective efforts of both parents lead to survival of the offspring up to the weaning and the adult stages of life. This is what the field of social biology calls parental investment to neonatal survival. The more number of offspring that survive to the adult stage, the better the inclusive fitness of both parents. My study on rats showed that parental investment to survival of the neonates was better in monogamous group, which also had a better inclusive fitness as observed in the number of pups that survived to the weaning age and a higher weaning weight, tables 5 and 6. My research, however, revealed that though polyandry results in better short-term reproductive optimality, this merit could be obviated by correspondingly poorer weaning weight, lower pre-weaning survival rate, and smaller number of pups when per dam. In addition, social stress as encountered in the polyandrous group could significantly lower reproductive success in rats and probably of any mammalian species. Aro 2006, Aro and Adijimon 2008, Aro and Adijimon 2010, Aro and Adijimon 2011. A paper titled Kukodri, its incidence in human animal population was jointly published by Aro, Omatocho, and Ayel in 2012. The paper revealed that Kukodri, which is a derogatory term for a man who has an unfaithful wife, has a negative effect on the society as manifested in a number of broken marital relationships and toggery. It has also led to sperm competition, social rapes, and made guiding strategies among animal and human populations that often gravitate from being absorbed to being beside, of which jealousy, wife battery, and spouse guiding with magnum or thunderbolt are mentioned case points in human population. 2. Bioconversion and valorization of agro-industrial waste. The Vice Chancellor, the Nigerian livestock industry has ever continued to wage a legal war of survival in the face of perennial scarcity and astronomical price of conventional feed ingredients. The feed cost alone accounts for over 70% of the total cost of livestock production under intensive management. The high cost of the conventional feed ingredients, coupled with competition between man and his livestock for their use, has necessitated a more determined search for the unconventional feed resource utilization in livestock rations. Bioconversion and valorization of agro-industrial waste is a research effort that has been exhaustively employed by me at finding a lasting solution to the twin problem of perennial high cost of livestock feed and global environmental pollution, thus ensuring maximum livestock productivity and a safer and cleaner environment for all. Such research efforts include, but are not limited to, what Aro and Tiwe 2007, Aro Agbede and Aleto 2010, Aro Aleto Tiwe and Agbede 2010, Aro Odejayi Aleto Ashimi Adeboye and Usifu 2011, Aro and Aleto and Aleto 2012, Aro Agbede, Dairo Ogushote, and Aleto 2012, Aro Kalo and Omojola 2017, Aro Kendi Olanrewaju Aleto, Adigbeye Eto 2021, Aro Dominic Kendi Olanrewaju Aleto, Adigbeye Eto 2022, Obo Aro Adu Oyeleye Ojo Ademosun and Obo 2023 had reported. These are as reflected in figures 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 3. Environmental physiology and bioremediation. The Vice Chancellor, the whole gamut of environmental physiology and bioremediation is to attend to the welfare issues in the animals' environment that could impact negatively on their survival, livability, thriftiness, and overall productivity. These welfare issues include housing, feeding, stocking density, ventilation, temperature, etc., that must be maintained at their optimum for improved livestock productivity. My experiment on environmental physiology and bioremediation have provided predictive formulae for monitoring the impact of environmental variables on the physiology and wellness of our, notably the predictions for the average morning, afternoon, and evening rectal temperatures for pigs, goats, layers, broilers, and quails, as reported by Aro and Ajibo in 2016, Aro, Awuneye, and Onibi 2020, Adigbeye, Aro, Fajensi, et al. 2021, Aro, Arobodo, Ahmed, Ademola 2021. 4. Animal physiology and endocrinology. The Vice Chancellor, tendentiously, we have the innate potential to accumulate depot fat more rapidly than other livestock species. Hence, research efforts have been focused at defatting the modern-day pigs in order to produce lean meat and a more consumer-friendly pork to attend to other physiological and hormonal issues pertaining to other livestock species. Hence, glycemic responses, pig-fed fermented cassava tuber waste diets, osmotic fragility, circulating luteinizing and steroidal hormones in laying chickens, fair dietary inclusion of acetyl-salicylic acid, and potentiation and modulation of folliculogenesis and the functionality of the oviduct late production layers were exhaustively investigated and reported by Aro, Aleto, Osifo, and Adejumo 2010, Aro, Baki, Awuneye 2017, Aro 2019, Boluwaji, Aro, and Shineke 2022. 5. Animal reproduction and biotechnology. The Vice Chancellor, reproduction is the beauty and the essentials of God's creation. It is therefore not an understatement for the Almighty God to proclaim upon all life forms his blessings of creation on the continued existence of life by saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the whole earth." Hence, reproduction connects the present existence with the previous and the future, as it is aptly said that the child is the father of the man. Therefore, livestock production dovetails to livestock fructification, which is equal to livestock multiplication, and enantioma for livestock reproduction, a farrago, and omniogadurum facilitated and accelerated by the admissions of biotechnologies for maximum livestock productivity for the benefit of humankind. My researches in this field include reproductive performance of male domestic pigs whose Crufa domestica fed fermented cassava tuber waste, daily sperm production and spermatogenic efficiency of water boas fed greater levels of cassava based diet, the use of microbial biotechnology in value addition to cassava waste as feed for pigs, prospects and challenges, preliminary investigation on the domestication and adaptive breeding of African bush fowls, Francolinus bicacaratus, the effect of dietary salt on fertility, hatchability, and hatchling performance in artificially inseminated commercial layers eggs, qualitative analysis of ejaculates and sperm production potentials of mature broiler breeders fed dietary supplementation of acetyl-salicylic acid, carcass indices and meat quality of broiler chickens fed diets containing fortified fermented cassava stump, performance, sperm production and ejaculate characteristics of mature broiler breeder cocks fed-bearing salt inclusion and supplemental acetyl salicylic acid, antioxidant properties of broiler breeder cocks fed supplemental acetyl salicylic acid and dietary inclusion of salt, effects of dietary supplementation of acetyl salicylic acid and salt on serum biochemistry and expression of selected cytokines in broiler breeder cocks by Aro 2011, Aro 2012, Aro, follow-up, Awoneye, and Aleto 2015, Aro and Akimolado 2015. My research in animal behavior has listed the various mating systems through which social wedlock is consummated in animals, namely monogamy, polygamy, lurking, polyandry, polygynandry, and polygyny, and their attendant ills and benefits. Oftentimes, table egg producers are compelled to keep layers well beyond their reproductive cycle because of economic exigencies, either as a result of their inability to strike the most economically feasible time to dispose them off as spent layers, or paucity of immediate source of funds to procure replacement stock. Faced with these economic realities, many farmers may still continue to keep their old stock despite breeding fortunes from reduced egg production. My experiments on layers at their late phase of egg production cycle have been able to provide a reprieve for such farmers facing these management challenges. These experiments reveal that dietary salt fed in the right proportion potentiates folliculogenesis and modulates the functionality of the oviduct in these layers in their late phase of production, thereby bringing economic benefits to the farmers. Fermentation technology is as old as the world. Its first recorded use was in the book of Genesis 9:20-21. This Noahic fermentation protocol has been perfected through subsequent research leading to the revolutionization of the global wine and beer industry. This same protocol, as used by me, has produced microbially fermented cassava pigs as an energy source to replace maize in pigs feeding. I reported that feeding pigs at 40% microbially fermented cassava peel will enhance feed consumption, nutrient absorption, and improve the growth rate of pigs. Also, tolerant levels of hydrocyanide intake per kilogram body weight per kilogram of feed and crude fiber level of 17.87% were established for growing pigs fed dietary inclusion of microbially fermented cassava peel. My pioneer study on the domestication and captive breeding of the African bush fowl, Francolinus bicacaratus, produced the first insight into the growth performance, air quality characteristics, body morphometry, fertility, and hatchability of this culinary but endangered avian species, and projected workable inroads towards its domestication and eventual commercialization. A joint work with Dr. Anima Shaun, one of my PhD students in 2022, produced fortified fermented cassava stone, FFCS, as a replacement for maize in broiler diets using Aspergillus niger ATCC 16404. The addition of FFCS in broiler chicken's diet 40% level produced meat of better quality with low peroxidation, high oxidative stability, and longer shelf life. My research also put to test the synergy between the dietary sodium chloride and acetyl salicylic acid at enhancing viability, hypoptotic swelling, and autosomal integrity in breeder cord semen, and revealed that sodium chloride at 0.75% worked synergistically with 0.05% ASA to improve the feed conversion ratio and sperm cell viability, while 1% sodium chloride with 0.75% ASA improved the autosomal integrity of the breeder cord sperm. This synergism also played out to suppress the expression of inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin-1 genes in mature broiler breeder cords, thus improving the overall welfare and reproductive performance of these breeders. Recommendations. This lecture recommends the following: that fundamental knowledge of animal behavior is sine qua non to the achievement of robust animal welfare and improved productivity. Our farm animals will only give us their best in terms of egg, milk, wool, and skin if they are raised or reared in the most conducive environment. Every livestock producers should know that these stocks that we keep have sentience and are therefore able to react to various forms of sensations emanating from the environment and hence display corresponding behavioral tendencies to those environmental stimuli. A case in point is the monogamous and polyandrous mating system that I studied, in which monogamy results in an improved prenatal investment to neonatal survival and better inclusive fitness of both parents. This confirms the popular injunction in the Holy Bible that two are better than one because both will have a good reward for their joint labor. For if they fall, one will keep up the other. But woe to one who is alone and falls and does not have another to help. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. I therefore seize this rare opportunity afforded me by this lecture to make a clarion call to the federal government of Nigeria to henceforth legislate paternity leave for the male spouse as given to their female counterparts in order to invest maximally in the survival of their offspring for the best mutually inclusive fitness of both parents in the reproductive processes. 2. Reproductive processes that culminate in the eventual union of the sperm cell and the ovum are now being enhanced and assisted through many biotechnological protocols, simply tagged and called assisted reproductive technologies, ART. The goal of all these ART protocols is to maximize output in terms of livestock numbers and quality in order to sustain the production of animal source foods for the ever-increasing human population. Nigeria as a country cannot afford to miss out in this global race. Therefore, ART centers must start to spring up in all the geopolitical zones of the country as a matter of urgency. When there is a will, there is a way. God will give us the will. Acknowledgement. The Vice Chancellor, at this juncture, I would like to quote the popular humble statement of Sir Isaac Newton that says, "If I tower above my contemporaries, it is not of my own makings, but of the fact that I am perching on the shoulder of giants." I stand on this statement today to give glory to Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the immortal, the invisible, the only wise God. To him be honor, dominion, adoration, and praises forevermore. In being my pillar, my support, my shield, my buckler, my rock, my refuge, my defense, my salvation, my everything. The Lord who redeemed my life from destruction and crowned me with his loving kindness. May his name be praised forever. My appreciation goes to my parents, Pa Zacchaeus Olanrewaju Aro and Mrs. Felicia Olanrewaju Aro of blessed memory for their labor of love over me and their avowed determination to give me a sound footing in life through formal education. Though you are not physically today, but I know for sure that your individual heart is radiating with joy in the spiritual realm that I have fulfilled your mandate and have not disappointed you. Thank you for your amorous contest of mutually inclusive nudity, for mutual benefits that produced me. I will equally like to acknowledge my siblings, Mrs. Rachel Anulu Omole, Mr. Amos Adilajaro, Deaconess Christiana Duduluwa Omodele and her husband, Pastor Shadrach Omodele, for their unflinching support, cooperation, and filial love that has continued since our formative years. I still remember our going together with unquenchable nostalgia. Thanks for the love that we always share. My unreserved appreciation goes to my teachers right from the primary to the tertiary level of my educational pursuit. The likes of Mr. Lunge and Mr. Modele of AC/CAC Primary United School, Iduani. Mrs. Ijalana Olukunledo, Ologmoyo, Okunikoya Papi, Oba, and of course, Honorable Tio Akimbodi of blessed memory at Irikari Grammar School, Iduani. My indebtedness at the tertiary level goes to the following unforgettable personalities: Professors Ogumodede, Akinsoyinu Babatunde, Okubanjo, Adeleye, Oluyemi Ologobo, Longe, Ibunike, Tewe, who doubled as my BSc and MSc project supervisor. Your memories will remain emblazoned in my brain forever. My PhD supervisors, Professor D.O. Adejimo and Professor V.A. Aleto, are singled out as dogged fighters towards the attainment of my doctoral dream. Your seeds shall never lack good things in their lives in Jesus' name. Worthy also of my acknowledgement are my University of Ibadan Faculty of Agriculture 1988 classmates, the likes of Professor Omojola, Fajemi Lehin, my roommate for 3 years at Melabi Hall, UI, Aribede, and of course, my bosom friend here, Professor Ashineke, and also Dr. Tayo Adele, and a host of others. You are all wonderful people. Thanks for making this fabric that joins us together stronger by the passage of each year here in Nigeria and in the diaspora. I thank all the past and present vice chancellors and the principal staff of FUTA, notably Professor P. Adeniyi, who employed me into the services of this prestigious university. Professor J. Fuakwe, who discovered me during the recruitment process and announced my professorship. Dr. Mrs. E.F. Oyibade, who signed my letter of employment. Professor A.J. Damola, who announced my elevation to leadership position. Above all, my profound gratitude goes to the host of today's event, the incumbent Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria, Professor Timedayo Adenike Oladiji, for creating a favorable ambience for today's event to hold. May our continue to work stronger and stronger in all phases of academic and human development to the glory of God. I extend my words of appreciation to the past and present deans of my school, School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology, notably Professors Ogunshishi of Afolayan Ogeniji, the trio of blessed memory, Kadiba, Iwola, Ofuya, Balogun, and Fuakwe, who welcomed me to serve as a new recruit. Alokan, Akindele, and Amos, the herald of my leadership and professorship positions. And, of course, the substantive dean, Professor F.O. Oludaunsi, for keeping the embers or the mantra of primus inter pares, for which SAT is known for, ever growing within the university community. I equally appreciate the entire SAT family for the spirit of unity and camaraderie divinely sown amongst us. I profoundly appreciate all members of my immediate constituency in FUTA, the noble AP family, starting from the head of department, Professor A.N. Fajemis, to Mrs. R.E. Oviangbede, the current departmental secretary. I see this opportunity to also acknowledge the following SAT notables, whose contributions in my life cannot be overemphasized. They are Professor Lasende, the Oshidi who received me into the APH fold, Professor T.M. Awoneyi, Professor D.B. Olufolaji, my academic mentor, and Professor V.A. Aleto, my academic father and confidant. I still find it difficult to put lit against your name. May the Lord help us to fill this gap or vacuum you left behind. I will not forget to mention my project and research students who course along with me in many of my research work, some of which are reported in this inaugural lecture. They include Dr. Mrs. Awoneye, Dr. Anima Shaun, Dr. Ms. Bolowaji, Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Mrs. Unweke Okorosha, Dr. A. Taylor, Dr. Adegbeye, Dr. Falowo, Akimola, and Mr. C.B. Ajayi. Also mentioned, worthy of mention, Ilori, Femi Falade, Olateju, Kehinde Olayinju, Ademola, Akintola, Adejumo, and Mr. A.D. Samuel, and a host of others who time will not permit me to mention. The pastorate and the council and the entire members of Christ Apostolic Church, Glory of God Assembly, in Nigeria and overseas, are unreservedly appreciated for their prayers, counsel, advice, guidance, and labor of love over my family since I joined FUTA in 2004. Indeed, the popular slogan of the church, strengthen thy brethren, Luke 22:32, has been fully and practically demonstrated in my life. I extol the uncommon leadership quality of our spiritual leaders, Pastor, Professor, and Lady Evangelist Owuyemi, the vessel God is using to fulfill his salvation mandate to the entire world. The annals of appreciation for my church at this juncture will not be complete without mentioning the work and work of our late pastor, Dr. Amos Emiloju Arigisio, of everlasting memory. Daddy, you are worth more than rubies. I equally appreciate God in the life of following pastors and evangelists with their families in CAC Goga. Oladoyin Ajayi Abidakun Baba Ishegun, Oladiran Akinola Adisami, Dr. Omoriwo Akintoye Alade Adesina Ayeni, Akinwomi, Evangelist Tolu Oyemi, Doctor, and many others that I am time constrained to mention. May the Lord bountifully reward your labor of love in his vineyard in Jesus' name. I acknowledge the presence of members of Ishomo, Alagbado Landlord and Landladies Association, ably led by our own Mr. I.A. Fafila, the representatives of Nigeria Pea Farmers Association, Akure Chapter, under the leadership of Mrs. Olori Williams, and members of Isure Descendants Unions, Iduani, Akure Chapter, for gracing this occasion with me. I am eternally grateful to the flesh of my flesh, the bone of my bones, my adoring, beautiful, elegant, lovely, angelic, virtuous, complete, and complimentary woman, my Alice Ashabi Aro, who the Almighty God chose for me. You remembered Alice in Wonderland. As my Alice, she has successfully taken me to her blissful Wonderland, where I now reside permanently. She has been and remained my able contestant, both in the pheromonal and physiological manifestation of the mutually inclusive contest for mutual benefits. The proceeds of this infinitely loved contest, Philemon, Florence, and Joshua, the result of this God-ordained union are revealed among us today. To God be the glory forevermore. Thank you all for giving me the audience.
I think we can sustain that applause. Thank you. May we be seated? Well, the guest lecturer has done justice to the topic, and I was going to do mine. I was scared. I later learned no question and answer. So let's give him a round of applause again. I've got to, in addition to what the lecturer has done, acknowledge some individuals who have honored us with their presence today. I know some people are online watching us. We want to quickly start from home. I want to recognize and welcome Professor Tunde Arayela, former DVC academic, FUTA. You're welcome, sir. Professor Mrs. Oluremi Abiolu, former acting university librarian. You're welcome. Professor Ademola Ayesami, former chairman, Committee of Deans, FUTA. You're welcome. Welcome. Professor Emeke Smith, former dean of the School of Postgraduate Study, FUTA. You are welcome, sir. Our own emeritus professor and venerable Akinla and Mamala Sende, former chaplain, Chapel of Faith, FUTA. You are welcome, sir, Mama. I also want to welcome and recognize senior Professor Olufolaji. You are welcome, sir. Professor Oluyemi Awodele, Director Academic Planning, FUTA. You are welcome, sir. Professor Adebayo Alokan, former Dean, School of Agric and Agric Technology. You are welcome. Okay. Mr. Fabusui, Director, Bosri, FUTA. You are welcome, sir. Dr. Faye, former from Bamidele Olumilua University, Kerekiti. Dr. Faye. Okay, you are welcome, sir. I also like to recognize His Royal Majesty Oba Elder Peter Adeoye Adeleye, the Alaye of Ayi Kingdom. Kado Bello. I also want to recognize Olori Adeleye of Ayi Kingdom. You are welcome, man. Thank you, man. Pastor Professor J.M. Owoyemi, Superintendent Pastor, CSC Glory of God. Pastor, you are welcome. Pastor S.A. Abidaku, you are welcome, sir. Pastor O.T. You are welcome. Pastor J. Ayedun, you are also recognized, sir. You are welcome, sir. Pastor S.A. Adeshina, you are welcome, sir. Pastor Benga Agbaje, you are welcome, sir. Pastor Mrs. Awoyemi, CSC Glory Land. I think that's our mommy there. Okay. Awoyemi? Okay. Mommy, you are welcome. Thank you for standing by our professor. I also want to recognize the entire pastorate, council members, and all congregants of CSC Glory of God Assembly worldwide. Can we identify you? Thank you. You are welcome to FUTA. Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Christiana Omondule, you are welcome, sir. Landlords and Landladies Association of Alagbado area, Akure, are you there? Okay, I can see the hands there. You are welcome. Ishure Descendant Union of Ishure Iduani, Ondo State, Nigeria, Akure chapter. You are welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you, ma'am, for coming. Pig Farmers Association of Nigeria, Akure chapter. You are welcome. Thank you for coming, sir. Now I go to the immediate members of the family. The product of the contest here. One of them is online. Our own Philemon Olayemi Aro. We recognize you. You're welcome. The second is Florence Fumilayo Aro. You are welcome. The third is Joshua, Master Joshua Olamide Aro. Can we recognize you? Well, the inaugural lecturer done the job. He said he has in the contest an adoring, beautiful, elegant, lovely, angelic, virtuous Mrs. Alice Asabi Aro. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking care of our own professor. You are welcome, ma'am. We also want to recognize the friends and family members of the inaugural lecturer, the academic and professional colleagues of the lecturer. Can we recognize you? APH members, you are all welcome. Yes, I can see your hands there. Thank you. Members of CSC, Glory of God, Akure, you are all welcome. Gentlemen of the place, we also recognize you. Great Futarian, you are indeed great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor. Professor Femi Barnabas Adebola, Dean, School of Physical Sciences, you are welcome. Having come to the end of the section, let us arise and remain standing for Futana nuptial anthems. the academic possession of the Vice Chancellor in reverse order.
Thank you very much for coming to Futa.